Oh, my friends, does this feel like the week that will not end for anybody else? And it's not lost on me the irony that last week I did the episode about the happy list, and this week I have been leaning on it hard.
You're listening to the Wellness Simplified podcast. Simple wellness tips to help you improve your life without turning it upside down. With your host, award-winning fitness instructor, nutrition coach, and wellness expert, Susie Fevens.
Welcome back to the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. This week, I don't know if it's because winter has finally hit me or the February blahs have sat in or what it is, but it's just been a battle to get to Friday. And it's not because I've had a bad week. I've had a really statistically pretty good week. It just feels so long and it feels like it's just never going to end. And then this freezing rain nonsense. Oh my goodness. So I have been really leaning on my happy list, like I said in the intro, lots of times with kitties, lots of Netflix, lots of lattes, lots of all of the above to try and get me through. And again, it's not because I'm having a bad week. I think it's really important for us to recognize that just because someone says they're not having a great week or it feels like a really long week doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad week. It's just some weeks feel so darn long. And I thought maybe it was just me, but I talked about this when I got to my class Thursday morning saying I don't know what it is, but everything just feels so long all of a sudden. And it wasn't even this whole week. Monday, I felt weird. I felt very odd. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I posted about it on Instagram. I don't know. I watched the Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix and I followed that up with a Lady Gaga documentary that I hadn't watched. And I don't know if it was those or if it was the fact that I spent much of the weekend clearing up my space. Like I cleaned out my closet. I finished clearing out my office. I finished hanging a bunch of pictures that had been sitting on the floor for way too long and doing some things like that. So I don't know if it's because my physical space was a bit clearer than it had been or if it was because of something else, but I just was really sort of at odds on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday felt better. I was busy, had a lot of things to get done, and I got them done. But then today, just as I went to get out of my car to go teach my morning class, I was like, oh my gosh, is it really only Thursday? Because it feels like this week has been going on forever. So when I mentioned that to some of my participants, they were like, you know what? That was my day yesterday. It just felt like yesterday was going on forever. Some people said that last week felt that way for them. Some said that felt that way this week. But everybody was in agreement that there just comes a point where things, for no good reason, start feeling like they're droning on. So if you are having one of those weeks like I am, we've made it to Friday, friends. We have made it to Friday. So the week is not going to drone on much longer. And I really just wanted to touch on that today, that not all days and weeks are going to be super awesome. And it's not even because something bad or good has happened. We just sometimes have weird feelings about different times. I remember Monday night when my husband came home, I told him, you know what? Today has been a perfectly decent day, but I'm just so over it. Sometimes those days, they just happen. And we try to place blame on things when sometimes there is nothing to blame. It's just like we've walked through some negative energy. It's a gray, dreary day. Maybe it's freezing rain, or maybe it's a beautiful day and we're just not feeling it. It's okay. It's all right for you to have an off day or an off week or a week that feels like it's going on forever without it being an actual bad week. And it's also important to note the fact that you don't have to quantify or justify any time that you say that you're just having a bit of an off day. Sometimes people will ask you why, and they're just trying to be kind and trying to be inquisitive. But sometimes there's no answer. Like Monday, I still have no idea what was going on. It was just a weird day. And today I'm going to blame my period because I've started my period and I think that's enough reason to make anything feel long. But, these things happen. We don't always have to explain ourselves or find some underlying meaning or context or what have you. Sometimes things just are what they are. And this week has been truly a good week, but it's been so long. So on that note, because this week has been so long, I'm purposely going to keep this episode as super short. So if you have been having a long week like me, you'll look at the timestamp on this episode and be like, oh, I can totally do that because it is just over 6 minutes. And on that note, we're going to call this episode finished. That is it for today's episode of the Wellness Simplified podcast. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. It truly means so much to me. If you haven't already hit subscribe, I would love it if you could do that, and then you'll have all new episodes delivered right to your device bright and early on publishing day. You can connect with me online on Instagram is the best at Susie Confesses, or you can find me on my blog, confessionsofaFitnessInstructor.com. The podcast and show notes can be found at wellnesssimplifiedpodcast.com. And on Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/confessionsofaFitnessInstructor. It's long, but it's easy to remember. I truly love to hear from each and every one of you, especially if you particularly liked or disliked an episode, so that I know, because otherwise, if you don't tell me, I'm never going to know. So please feel free to contact me anytime to say, hey, I loved that episode, or hey, I hated that episode, or whatever floats your boat. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will chat with you next week.